Today, I'm gonna be taking an attempt at making my first short comic in the next 4 hours straight. So, let's get into it right now. Here's the timer so that you know that I'm not a faker. Boom. So, here goes the second 4 hours. Wish me luck, boys. Well, my friend, now we have the answer to the question whether you can make a comic in 8 hours or not. You could, that is highly possible in theory, and I've seen some skilled people do it. Although I'm not pretty sure as to whether I could pull it off. See, I've finished the storyboarding part of the comic and I've taken 9.5 sheets to do so. Okay, now we're going to take to the computer to finish the remaining tasks. And the remaining tasks are giving everything sufficient outlines and coloring them in and making a cover page for the entire thing. So I think we're going to get there eventually, although I'm not sure as to whether 8 hours is going to be sufficient to cover all of that. Let's get right into doing the more tedious stuff. Boom. And thus, my friend, began day 3. I just did my workout, meditation session, all that stuff, and we're right at the beginning of our tedious task grind. It's going to take a long time. The process of actually illustrating the pieces, I mean. I said 4 hours in the thumbnail. It's not a clickbait. I actually tried to do it within 4 hours. So, lo and behold, now we are here. We cannot do anything about that. But one thing we can actually do right now is get on to the grind and be done with it. And that is exactly what we're going to do right now. It seems to me that it is actually very hard to complete and polish something than just sketch it out. I'm pretty sure it's very obvious, but even after using my entire 8 hours, no breaks in the middle, I did have some breaks in the middle, but I paused my timer and went away. I'm left with something like this: 8 full productive hours, and all you see is something like that. I'm not saying I haven't made any progress. I finished the first page. From now, I'm gonna move into a full impressionist style to try and finish it within the next 4 hours. This could be impossible. This could be possible. You never know till you try, man. It might take me something like 16 hours, or this might just take something like, say 4. Let's be hopeful and say 4. Let's get right in. Yeah, that was literally the end of the third 4-hour streak. Now we're in this for 12 hours straight. And, bro, just really thinking about it, I think we're gonna need to go for 8 more hours, as per my estimate. So, let's get to it already. I'm gonna set another 4-hour timer, and by that, get to it. Yup. That's going to be 4 hours. As you can see here. Damn, that's blurry. Yup. Start. Boom. Hey, bud. Welcome to the Monash Rock Report. That didn't go as I thought, but hey, welcome to the show. So, here's what I accomplished in the past 4 hours. First of all, I completed my strength training routine, just took an hour off for that, and I finished my evening exercise. And then I completed 9 pages worth of polishing out of 17 to be polished pages. Okay, that's the progress meter. So now, in the next coming 4 hours, I hope to finish the comic fully. Let's see how that goes. I'm pretty sure it might take 4 more hours. I already said that for the past 4 times. So let's get right into it and see if we can actually pull it off in these 4 hours, buddy. Hello, man. My name is Monish, and I think I already told you that a plethora of times. Reporter stuff, gotta do it. Welcome to the Monstoric Show, bro. Here is where I share my progress in the last 4 hours of my work. And now, I think we're gonna need 4 more hours. I finished up to page 12 and have finished half of page 13. So, there is a requirement for me to finish 4.5 more pages worth of polishing, and I am going to do that. Let's set the timer, the next 4 hours. Don't mind the checkpoints. This thing sometimes switches itself off for some reason and doesn't turn back on properly enough. Wait a second. Rocks. Yeah. Okay. 4 hours. I think you can see it. We're going to set it now. Yup, started. Now, let's go in there and do some more hard work. Boom. Hi man, welcome to the last and final Monstoric report of the video. So, here's the report. It took me 6 hours to actually finish it. 6 hours in excess, which means it took us 26 hours to finish this comic. And although you saw me suffering in a time lapse that was 120x times faster, I suffered more than that. Just remember that. I thought about a few things I could tell you once I finished it, like a few learnings I got from making this. The only few learnings I actually got was along the lines of something like this. I'll try to remember it. Wait. So, my learnings are number one, nothing easy to get is worth having. That thumbnail? No. That proverb, it resonates at a very deep level with me right now. I don't know if I should feel tired or I should feel happy, but I feel happy somehow and tired at the same time. So I'm gonna go and take my rest. And yeah, probably in another video I'd give you my learnings. This one's just not the place. I'm way too tired for that. Hey brother, the forthcoming slideshow is to proceed at a pace of 10 seconds per comic page. And I know that most people won't have the patience for this. So if you just want to gist of it, I suggest changing your playback speed to something like 2x or 1.5x and just skimming through the comic as a whole and getting an idea of what's going on. And then you can switch it back to normal and everything will be fine. Yeah, man, this is essentially post recording Monish here, sitting with you to give you my learnings. Anyway, because I thought why not add it in at the end of the video. So, if you watch till here and you haven't skipped a part, you have a great attention span, and the following bit is essentially a gift to you for that. So let's start. Artistic advice on finishing a comic book with senpai or kohai, depending upon your age. So, bro, the first thing you've got to do is go through this thing called an idea fest. Write down whatever the hell that comes to your mind and start making random associations. And the next thing you've got to do is run through story structures. There are plenty online, and the one I recommend is from Jake Parker. It's a 30-minute video. Take your book, make your notes. I've done them here. It's just going to be a short period of time, and you're going to learn a lot. And the next thing that you're gonna have to do is step 2. Sit down and actually write the story. No, before you write the story, there's something else. Since this is short comic phase, you're not gonna have a lot of time to design your characters. I designed mine in 20 minutes. I'm assuming you know the fundamentals. Use shape language and all these other things that you can learn from other YouTubers to design your characters here, something like this. And make a map for different territories that will pop up within your story. And make sure to make a generalized map of the surrounding area as well as a specific map of where your story is to take place, so that you don't end up wasting a lot of time detailing the useless areas. Okay, and then design your villains and then just all of that normal stuff. After that, just sit there and write away. Like, write so fast the paper is burning. This is so that your story stays coherent and you remember you're starting. We humans, we ain't got a lot of working memory, brother. So we've got to make do with whatever the hell we have. And here is what I've written here. This would probably be step 3 of your process if you already learned story structures before and you already know of the artistic things. It took me 4 pages and it turned out to be a 17-page long story, and I mostly shorted the final battle scenes. You don't want to do that. So make it something like 5 pages or 10 pages so that you can actually have the time to work on it and finish it within your motivation level subsiding time. Yes, I made it grammatically correct. Okay, moving on to the next thing, which is actually making the panels. Before which, you're gonna need to learn the fundamentals of drawing. A book I recommend is How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and John Buscema. I don't have the book yet, but I've seen people teaching from it, and those people teach really well. Okay, now on to step 3 finally. I actually did multiple takes for this, so there's gonna be a lot of litter on my desk. Please ignore that. I will clean it up as soon as I finish teaching you, buddy. Okay, now that we're here, I want you to take a look at this Pokemon Adventures book and pay keen and close attention to the page I'm going to show you. We're not going to take a look at the exciting page because they are using different forms of composition there that I won't be able to teach here. Yup, this seems to be an example. So what you're gonna do is put the most important event, have the biggest space of all if it's going to be the first event. So let me explain what we're trying to do here. These are 3 shapes, as you can see, my friend. If you can see it, my friend. Wait. Your eye scans through big to small, from big to small through medium. So you can use this trick to direct your viewer's eye to something. So what this essentially translates to is bigger panel to smaller panel to even smaller panel, or to fatter panel to skinnier panel to even skinnier panel to something that resembles a twig panel. Do you get what I mean? So this is the most basicest way of paneling, and the other things, they require you to have a good idea of shape composition. If you got that, definitely go for them. It's like, what you're gonna have to do is point the reader from left to right so that they read in the proper direction. Say something like you have triangular panels. I'm really not good with this, although I know shape theory and all of these things, because I'm really not used to making them comics. So I think what you got there should have helped you. You can even see that in my first comic, although it was plenty unreadable because I did not use any sort of dialogue whatsoever. Nobody seemed to understand what was going on. Yeah, man, this took a lot of pages, and I could have completed it in lesser pages and have polished it, but I did not polish it, nor did I complete it earlier, so I'm not gonna have time to worry about that. And here are designs for a story I wish to have completed, but it didn't work out. See, if you just keep randomly drawing things, you're not gonna be able to finish making the projects you are working on. Just remember that. Yeah, and as time progresses in your story and the lighting changes, your color palette's gotta change too. So here's a tip for that. Once you finish a panel, take that panel, actually the layer itself, and copy paste it, and have two layers side by side, and then merge the two layers together such that you have a nice place to refer your color from. It's okay if it's small, just make sure it has all the color components of your story. If two panels take place at one time, pick one so that you may have all the panels be consistent with the color scheme. Okay, that was mostly about it. And if you're lacking on ideas, just do research, man. I have this visual dictionary here. You can get yourself something like this if you're struggling to draw something that you have an idea to draw. And make some research on fantasy if you're making a fantasy comic, or sci-fi if you're making a sci-fi comic, or just learn science and STEM in general for sci-fi, and theology and religion and these things for fantasy. You can take things to a whole another level if you're doing research. But you might say, hey, won't it become formulaic? No, it won't. It's like essentially using guidelines when you're drawing. You're gonna need the perspective grid for a few days, and then after you mastered it, you can definitely freehand it, at least a little bit. So it's something along the lines of that. By actually learning to draw different things and being in research, you actually give your mind more material to work with. For example, if I know that there is this thing called a piezoelectric material, I could use it to make something like an electricity generator in my alternative world. So if you know a lot of things, they will come in handy. That was about my advice. And the final thing you need to remember, which is not among my advices or advice, is this: don't be distracted easily. It can get to you really fast. Like the comic I actually showed you before, the one I actually made right now, is essentially finished in something like 5 or 6 days, though it is incoherent. So the faster you are on your grind, the more coherent your story is going to be. So if you avoid distractions, you're going to have the story in your mind for a long time, which is a good thing, which will make it coherent. That's about my advice. And if you liked autistic advice, just, yeah, like it. That is all for this video. And if you, my man, actually find value in my content and find it engaging and stuff, put a like and comment what you'd like to see in the next video or something like that. And then just subscribe and become part of my community. I'm here. Bye. Boom.